Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Wow. The midweek edition of Morning Spring is about to kick off, and right about this time, we promise you it's going to be super exciting as always. Good morning to you, and thank you for being there always with us right here on the station that says it as it is. Western Spring Television, channels 190 on the DTT on Star Times, and I want to welcome you on behalf of the executive producer of this program and our CEO. And also on behalf of my producers, my directors, the cameramen, the entire transmission team, I'd like to say thank you most sincerely for always tuning in, day out. TUNDE IDOWU is my name. At Irresistible TD on Twitter, let's do quite a whole lot of dialogue and chit-chatting on that platform. And you can also have the opportunity to follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. Quite a whole lot we've got for you from the dailies. The dailies are readily available, and I will roll them out very, very shortly. In the course of this program, I'll be having two guests to join me to look into that controversial report that, as it has been stated by the presidency, that there's some falsehood, there's some rather not too good stuff reported by the European Union concerning the 2023 general election, most especially the presidential election that took place on the 25th of February of this beautiful year in which we are. We'll still look into that. Two guests will be in the house, and we'll try to dissect what it means, what it portends for the nation at large, and the electoral umpire itself. They are in the middle of this storm that is ravaging right about now. But let's check out some of the headlines making their rounds from the papers when I return after the short break. Stay with us.
Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905. Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker, and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his personal and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja, and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history.
All right, thank you for being there, and let's move on to checking out some of the headlines making the round from the different dailies that we have with us here. And I'll kick things off from the pages of Punch newspaper this morning. There seemed to be a little bit of controversy as to the names put forth from the Senate and the House of Representatives concerning principal officers. Yesterday, APC have come out to say, hey, we know nothing about it. But let's check out the headlines from the pages of Punch, starting with the Punch newspaper. It has that big bold caption there. Principal officers, APC protest selection. National Assembly members back Akpabio, Abbas. And there is a rider just below that same story, selecting Bamidele Ndume Umayi as NAS leaders. Erumo Adamu declare. And senators rep support Senate President Speaker as NWC aware of selection. It seems as if we would be in for another set of days or weeks of drama at the National Assembly, and most especially with the governing party at this moment in time concerning principal officers as they were selected yesterday. But the party is saying, no, we know nothing of it. Nothing of such, but we'll see what this looks like and how this pans out eventually. The floods are here, the rains are here, the roads are flooded, and we just hope things can get better. Our roads can get better when we probably have drainages and good roads where we wouldn't have stuff like this, like what we are actually seeing in the picture right here. It's not fantastic at all. It's nothing to write home about. And it's very, very risky. On the bottom strip of the same daily for this morning, Customs sees 3 billion naira smuggled rice, arrest 344 smugglers. At the space at which this the borders are closed, I said it, I think it was yesterday or the day before, the speed at which we invest quite a whole lot of monies into business, and they are illegal businesses that one does, and before you know it, it comes to this level where your goods, your properties are seized and you can't have access to them anymore, then why dabble into such? But I just hope Nigerians, human beings, will learn, and we will learn real good. The red strip, the red colored page on the Punch newspaper, very sad one there. Slain UI Dawn buried amid tears. Cleric condemns killers. We commiserate, we condole with the families of the deceased. And just beside that, another story that took the nation off balance for at least 72 hours in the last couple of days here. The JAMB issue, result falsification, JAMB sanctions more candidates, ends Misoma's pride probe. Beg your pardon. Yeah, it's something that actually took us all unaware. But hey, there we go. We just hope this will. We really want to see the true picture of what exactly happened and who is at fault. The young girl who said she got a letter and it states she's got 362 or thereabout, 64, thereabout, and rather, I'm saying no, it was just 200 and something. But hey, I wonder why this would have gotten to this very, very point in time. And looking at what lawyers have said concerning what they intend to do with JAMB if this lady is innocent. The companies, an automobile company who actually giving her a scholarship, everybody's waiting. We'll keep our fingers crossed. On the top strip of the Punch newspaper, Tribunal, Tinubu tenders Chicago Varsity admission letters, others. All right, you want to know more about that, please check it out from page 7 of the Punch newspaper for today. Investors suffer 671 billion naira one-day loss as equities tumble. Now, Beavers, APC kicks as opposition falls INEC 98% success claim. That's another very amazing story. We'll look into that story in the course of this program. Let's move over quickly to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper for this morning has the big bold caption of Mr. President, members of the National Assembly, the principal officers that were actually chosen yesterday, but whereby the party is saying, we know nothing of such. You have the pictures there. But you have this headline, Tinubu Adamu's Cold War worsens as Akpabio Abbas appoints principal officers. You want to know more about that? Please check it out from the pages of the Guardian newspaper, as it is common to all the dailies for today. Then over 4,000 Kuje escapees yet to be captured 1 year after prison break. Wow, that's a little bit heavy and scary. Kano anti-graft panel probes Ganduje dollar clip. 1 billion naira fraud. Wow. Okay. Huriwa accuses JAMB of violating Misoma's rights. Wants management probed. We've not seen the end of that story. We'll just keep our fingers crossed. We'll see what it looks like here. On the top strip of the Guardian newspaper, Tinubu Shetima open defense today in Obi's LP's petition. And imperative of separating AGF from Justice Minister. That's an editorial there, and if you're interested, it's worth reading as well. All right, let's move on to other dailies I've got this morning. The Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper is next here. Just as I said, it's the most common story virtually on all the papers for today. Presidency, governors back Bamidele, Undume, Umahi. But there's a red story on that red strip. Reps probe alleged abuse of, 2.3 trillion naira education tax by TED fund. Wow. All right. Coming further down there, you have the names of the principal officers of both the Senate and the House of Representatives. You have Okpeyemi Bamidele as the Senate leader. You have David Umahi as the deputy Senate leader. Ali Undume to take up the position of chief whip. Lola Ashiru, deputy whip. Simon Wadikon, Minority Leader, and Oyewumi Olalere, Deputy Leader. Minority Chief Whip is Darlington Nwokocha, and Rufai Hanga as Deputy Chief Whip for the Senate. And obviously that of the House of Reps, you have Julius Honvare as the House Leader. You have Abdullahi Halims as the Deputy Leader. Usman Kumo as the Chief Whip. Dewumi Onanuga as the Deputy Whip. And Kingsley Chinda, Minority Leader. And Ali Madaki, Deputy Minority Leader. Ali Issa, Minority Chief Whip. And George Ozodinobe as the Deputy Whip there. All right, exciting times are here as well. And Nigerians, we are used to some dramas that comes out from the National Assembly. We'll see where this leads us as well. But there's a writer under that same story. There it says, critical stakeholders consulted, says Senate Leader, how majority minority principal officers were picked. In the course of the program this morning, my guests are already in the house. We will look at this together as part of what we will discuss on the program this morning. President's policies excites Bank of America. Yeah, you can see the picture there of Mr. President and members from the Bank of America yesterday. All right, okay. Let's look at the top strip of the Nation newspaper. Tinubu's witnesses begin oral testimony at tribunal. And there is a rider below that. 14 documents comprising U.S. letter on APC candidates admitted in evidence. And on the top strip of the same daily, INEC set to file charges against Adamawa REC. Okay, action to happen in days. We'll keep our fingers crossed. We're waiting. Nigerians are waiting. We'll see the outcome of that. Should probably, if he's made a scapegoat, I'm not inciting, but the point is things has got to be done in the right way. Zulum buys 80 luxury buses to ease transport costs. I would like to say a big thank you to the governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum, for making that happen. Row deepens over alleged fake JAMB results. IG Egbe Tokun deploys 35 police commissioners. That'll be all from the pages of the Nation newspaper. Let me quickly flip over to the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard newspaper for this morning. As I said, I'll just flip through here. Thentnas, APC disowns principal officers named by Akpabio Abbas, and you have pictures of members of the APC there. Okay, Obey seat at home, face closure. Enugu government tell traders, businesses. Yeah, we just hope something drastic will be done in the southeast concerning this sit at home, IPOB, government, and no, we are tired of all this. Let's move on and let's do the needful in our dear nation. All right, moving on further, just beside the main plate of the story there, alleged anti-party activities. Court OK's ex-governor Goje's expulsion from APC. And talking 2023 polls, INEC engages 427 lawyers to prosecute 215 electoral offenders. On the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper, let's look at what inflation looks like here. Prices of beef, yam, up 24.9% and 22.8%. That's credited to the National Bureau of Statistics, giving us that figure here. Then just below that, alleged 1 billion naira fraud. Court remands ex-governor Ganduje's commissioner. UTME controversy. We are probing Misoma's result. That's JAMB Anambra government talking there. INEC calls one witness, closes the fence on Obi's case against Tinubu's election. And Presidential Tribunal, Tinubu tenders 17 exhibit to defend his election victory. And that will be all from the dailies for this morning. I can assure you we will be back with the dailies again tomorrow. But in the meantime, we want to go straight into the discussion on the program Morning Spring this morning. We want to look at what it tends to look like for Nigeria when it comes to elections in our dear nation. An election observer, a set of observers who came into the country have come out to say, hey, the election was manipulated. There were quite a whole lot of controversies concerning that election. That report from the European Union has stirred up quite a whole lot of argument, controversy in Nigeria at this moment in time. When I come back, two great guests who will sit with me in the house. We will be looking into that controversial stuff as been stated by the European Union. Please don't go nowhere. It's still Morning Spring. I'll be right back.
The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent of multiple kingdoms and empires under native rulers. The conference, otherwise referred to as Congo Conference, regulated European colonization and trade in Africa as initiated by German leader Otto von Bismarck. The Berlin Conference is often called the scramble for and partitioning of Africa, as each of the imperial powers carved separate portions of the continent for themselves without recourse to racial and cultural identities and differences. 137 years after the Berlin Conference was held, Africa remains a legitimized playground for European nations that sought to exploit its wealth and resources and manipulate its human capital to promote trades and investments of Western powers. Western Spring Television identifies Berlin Conference as a major event in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee's Diary, Constitution, and the People, among 6 other books. Bolaige was a colorful politician, elected governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bola Ige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bola Ige as a watershed character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history.
Thank you for being there. Morning Spring is still the program right here from Western Spring Television. And I remember I told you before I went on that break that we will have two great gentlemen in the house who will help us out to look into certain topics we want to look at, most especially the report from the European Union that has really caused quite a whole lot of controversy over the last couple of days in Nigeria at this moment in time. And I have two very amazing gentlemen in the house with me. I want to welcome Dr. Charles OLUDARE MARINDOTI. He's the convener, Social Rehabilitation Group. Doctor, I want to thank you most sincerely and good morning.
Thank you very much, Tunde.
And also I have Mr. Dare Mudashiru. He is the OSUN State Coordinator, the big tent. How big is the tent? Good morning, Mr. OLUDARE.
Good morning.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.
Yeah.
Let's, first of all, before we go to the European Union, before we travel, we're not jackpotting this morning for the time being, but let's look at the controversy at this moment in time with the principal officers of the APC, of the National Assembly, beg your pardon, of the National Assembly. We heard yesterday that the Senate had done theirs. The House of Representatives they've actually picked their Senate, their members, their principal officer. But the party is saying they're on their own. That is just a rumor. What do you make of that? Let me start with Doctor at this moment in time. Help us out. Who should determine who is who? The members of the National Assembly or the party, the majority, whereby, yeah, obviously the ruling party should it be the ruling party's set of people to determine who is who at the National Assembly, who takes this position, or the members should be able to come together and say, I want Dr. MARINDOTI as, I want Mr. OLUDARE as. Should it be members of the National Assembly, or should it be their parties to say, this should be here, this should be here?
Thanks for that question. You know, the way I want to analyze it is that when you have the National Assembly, it is called the People's House. People actually voted for them. These principal officers are not representing APC, they are representing the people. That's why somebody loses, somebody wins, right? So if the People's House have principal officers, it should be determined by the people who were chosen by the people. So it should actually be the members of the National Assembly that should determine the party has played its role in the election, the electioneering process, they should step back. But I understand that we have nascent democracy and everybody's trying to overstep their bounds in all forms of ways. So the party might be trying to impose itself, you know, exploiting our cultural, religious, ethnic fault lines to use that to play us together. But to me, in my own candid opinion, it should definitely be the decision of the members of the House. They are the ones who know those who are amongst them, who are capable of, you know, handling, you know, key possibilities. You don't want a medical doctor on the special forces, you know, department, or a soldier in the health department. Exactly. So those are the things that the National Assembly should consider while putting the round peg in a round hole.
So, what's your take, Mr. MUDASHIRU here? Looking at what some of the dailies have reeled out this morning, I have this on the pages of the Nation newspaper. It says, presidency, governors back Bamidele Undume Umai. When the presidency is backing you, does this supersede whatever the party is going to come up with?
Well, in a democracy,
yes,
we need to understand that you have multiple center of pressure and influence. When you talk about party, you know, when you talk about democracy, you cannot have a democracy without the place of the party.
Okay.
And you must also understand that the vehicle upon which these candidates emerged happens to be the vehicle of the party. You know, assuming we have a situation where we have independent candidates, you know, being fielded, the possibilities are that you want to talk about the party not being able to do that much.
Okay.
During the election and the electioneering process, when it suits us, we spoke about party supremacy. We spoke about the influence of the political party. It was important at that point that every gladiator ensured that they got the reign of the party structure. Why was the party structure needed? Why was the input of the party needed? So much so that when you now look at the administration, you cannot evaluate, you cannot analyze an administration without talking about the political party. So the fact of the matter is, it's a delicate balance. And as a people, we need to find a way to mature into that process where we find that balance. Even in the United States of America, in the United Kingdom, you still find the issue of party being able to bring some element of coordination into the process. You see, you cannot have a democracy that is hinged on party politics, devoid of the party contribution when it comes to certain, but we need to find, you know, like I said, it's a delicate balance.
It is.
It is a delicate balance, and we must understand that fact. Even the administration, the presidency we're talking about, needs certain legitimacy, which comes as a result of their affiliation to their political party. So we need to find a way to ensure that that balance is struck.
Let me just stay with you before I come back to Doctor here. But the point is whereby Nigerians will look at it as if Nigerians are actually looking at it as if this will be just one of those rubber-stamped National Assembly. That obviously, if I have to put you there, you have to take orders. You have to take. How long can we continue doing this, or is this part of democracy?
Well, you see, and that's why I love the fact that Dr. Marindoti started with the idea of the people's house.
Yeah.
I wish that we could actually have the people's house, epitomized.
Okay.
But like he also said, the Nigerian democracy post 1999 is still very young. I mean, it's yet to be consolidated as far as I'm concerned. We are on the path. We are not yet there. The chances are, getting better and brighter by the day. Now we're having young, upward thinking, people now wanting to come into that sector. And that would also mean that, the level of intelligence within that house would also go up. So with that in mind, I believe that we would be able to move towards the, that utopian, permit me to use that, that utopian point where we can actually have the people's house and not, the various divisions. But the truth of the matter, which we cannot run away from, is that in democracy, politics and politicking is very important. And if you are interested in ensuring that your policies become successful, you cannot go against
the party's decision.
You cannot go against the party's decision, one, but then also, as an administration, you also cannot just allow people to just be fielded into the offices without also considering, because whether you like it or not, it's still going to be, a contest between the National Assembly, the executive, and even at some point, I wished that even at this time, that as we have the executive really coming into the National Assembly, I wish that the judiciary is also being conscious of what is happening in that house, because at the end of the day, you must understand that it's a tripartite system. You have the executive, you have the legislator, and you have the judiciary. And that is what forms a very strong democracy.
Dr. Marindoti, let me look at, it's relatively very early days right here, the 10th National Assembly. I know that before they had, they could pick the Speaker of the House of Representatives and the Senate President. It was a little bit of controversy. Now principal officers have come again. There's a little bit of tension, controversies, and stuff like that. Constitutional, do you feel there should be something laid down to guide them at the National Assembly to look, this is how it has to be. Party, look, take your hands off this set of people. Let them decide. We remember, I think it was in 2015 before we knew Bukola Saraki had emerged from the back door. And what do you make of this 10th National Assembly, even though it's at early days, looking at the point at which they have started on, I don't want to say on the wrong note, though, the way this assembly have started at this moment in time?
Thank you, Tunde. If you think about it, you can look from the history of Nigeria. Why is it that every time the new National Assembly is being started, there's always some form of controversy? People are always vying for positions. The party who are not elected by anybody, because you have to remember the way we rule by consent. We are the people that have the power. We give the power to those that we select. But the parties who are not voted, who are not given any power by the people, are trying to play the role of kingmakers. They try to talk about power shift and use whatever meandering maneuvers that they can use to get what they want, so that they can, exert their their influence. So here is what I would suggest. you know, we talk about power shift. How about we have the true power shift? The true power shift from these kingmakers, these politicians, to the people, so that it is those who the people have elected that will select or choose or elect whatever the principal officers are going to be, and not the people who are not elected by anybody trying to select for us. When you think about it, who is the leader of the political party? It's still the president. The party should stick towards focusing on the next election. The party should be preparing for the Ondo State election next year right now. That is what their role should be, to be trying to, you know, come up with, I mean, help the policies and all of that, but not to be selecting who the principal officers is. It is an overkill. It's overbearing. This is party overbearance on the, you know, National Assembly, in my own humble opinion. So I do believe that, you know, once the people grab their powers, and then we have, especially like what Mr. MUDASHIRU was saying, where we can have a little bit more independence in terms of the way people are, you know, get to power, and it's not like there's one godfather somewhere selecting them, then we can go past this whole issue of the party trying to, these faceless party members essentially trying to impose their wills so that they can extend their interests.
Well, I want to ask, gentlemen, before we move on further here, all this set of people came on the pedestal of a particular party to get to where they are here. And so what stops the party from saying, look, we brought you in? The party is like, yeah, we brought you in. We should be able to tell you who came in through us that this and this are the set of people we want there. Yes, doctor.
Can I take that? Thank you very much. It's like you say, it's like you sent me to Ileife to go and get something for you. Okay. So I entered into a vehicle, a Mazda. Should that Mazda tell me what to get, or you that you told me to go to Ife? You are the one that put me in the vehicle, that told, right? Yes, and told me to go and get it. Exactly, it's the same thing. The party, like you said, is the vehicle. The vehicle should drive you from the point of not being a member to the point of being a member. But who is sending you on the errand? It is the people, right? So the people should be the one who will tell you what to do, not the party. Party trying to have an influence is overbearing. It is overbearing. The people should decide. Yes, we are still doing power shifts because we still have to understand the, you know, the young nature of our democracy, like I always say. But the truth is that once we can get ourselves to the economic state whereby nobody has to, everybody is comfortable, people will start thinking more about their own personal interests. Trust me, the personal interest of an Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, Tiv, Takpa man is just to prosper, to succeed. Exactly. So if an Hausa man is going to make me $500 million, why should I vote for a Yoruba man, even though I'm a Yoruba man? So exactly. So once we can get, it is the poverty that is in our system that is giving the fault lines that these people are exploiting and trying to impose party will on the National Assembly. Let the round pegs be in the round hole. Let the National Assembly select who they want to select to fit the roles and achieve their own policy goals, because you have to understand there are policy goals that needs to be achieved. So if the people did not vote for these party members, so that means there is no policy. They should not have influence to direct policies by putting their own people in key positions. That is my own opinion. Party is a vehicle. The vehicle doesn't tell you what to do when you get to the destination.
Dr. Marindoti, in this modern time, and you would also agree with me, that fortunately for us now, we are beginning to have vehicles that have their own brain. And you can attest to that. And so somehow when we discuss this, we need to bring it into perspective.
All right.
It's against the backdrop of many things. Let us not speak in favor of things when it suits us. I mean, we were part of the election and electioneering process. And we knew what happened. We knew what the discussions were. We knew what the narratives were. And you and I would agree easily that the narrative during the election and the electioneering process was not devoid of the political parties. You see, it beats my imagination when Nigerians just decide to have selective amnesia about certain issues. We need to move from that point to a point where we strike the balance.
Okay.
It will continue to be a problem if we want to say the party should always be relegated to the background when they did everything
to get you there.
To get these people there. At the point when Nigerians voted, when we voted the National Assembly members, we put our thumbprint in front of the party logo. The candidate's name were not written on the ballots. These are the, the interplay that we need to begin to look at. We cannot see this discussion are not just discussions that we just, they are real things to us. Nigerians voted truly to elect their representative. But at the point of voting, that, the right that we gave partly to the party, bearing the name of the party and the party logo. Why was it important at that time that every party needed to engage in massive voter education to ensure that the voters do not put the vote for the wrong party?
Okay.
So when you look at this, I'm not saying, and you can, try to drill a little bit for that to know my person and my opinion about certain issues. I'm not saying that the wrong pegs should be put into square hole, or, no, that's not the point. But I'm saying whatever are the issues that could make us retrogress as a people, we need to begin to look at those issues and be objective about it.
But Nigerians, are we...
And hold on, sir.
Okay.
You see, the interest of the executive, you see, it's very important.
Okay.
You're talking about the president's influence on picking these officers. And you have forgotten that that house is also supposed to be an independent leg of the three legs upon which democracy stands. So as an independent house, what should be the guiding principle of the house? And also, in our democracy, what should be the do's and don'ts of the political parties? Let these things, if they can, be spelled out. And let people, of course, democracies are like that all over the world. People would always negotiate in their interest because we are looking at policies to be, assented to. People would need at some point to give their assent, to give their consent. I mean, don't forget that many of the things that the executive will still need to do would have to go through the National Assembly. And so the executive is far-sighted against the backdrop of the policies that they would need to push through the National Assembly. So they want to always ensure that they have that benefit of easier, proceedings of the business of governance. And that is why it's very important, at this time for everybody to make sure that they are in it. But also don't forget that when we are going to give the scorecard of the administration, at the end of the administration or during the transition period, we will come back to the issue of the party. Don't forget, we had that in the last campaign where people say, oh, it was APC. Say, come, you cannot divorce the candidate from the party. And you cannot divorce the party from the candidate. So if it's going to be the case of Siamese twins, they have to find a way
to separate them.
No, they have to find a way, they have to find a way, because sometimes And doctor is here. You know, I'm not a medical doctor. You know, but you know that when you look at the condition at times, you might say it's better that we leave these twins together for a period of time till the organs are developed well enough for them to be separated. And I think at a point, Nigeria will come to that. I'm very optimistic about that intelligent, you know, progress on the basis of intelligence.
Okay. Okay. Now, Dr. Marindoti, you want to say?
Yeah, I was going to agree with Mr. Mudashiru by disagreeing with him a little bit. I think I understand the reason why he feels the party might be important, and that might actually have to go to the way we organize our primaries, where we have some delegates who make a delicacy out of you know, the whole process. You know, there's some, I call them the delicate delegates. So not normally in most places, the primaries should be open to all registered party members. So, you know, and that is how it obtains, at least in the United States and in most other countries. So the primaries, but since we have a few select people who, you know, make up the delegates, who can, you know, fatten themselves up during that process, they feel they have power, they feel they put you there. You know, if we can develop our democracy up to that point, that also reduces the relevance of these people. But still, regardless of what that is, the party is still just the party. It should be involved in the electioneering. Whether you're voting, the fact that you're printing in front of the political party does not mean you're just trying to put a broom on the chair. You're trying to put a person on the chair, and you went for that party because of a particular thing. We have like a case in the Southeast where people voted LP and went and voted, you know, maybe APC or something like that, you know. So they still split their vote. They didn't do that because they were affiliated to one party. They did that because they were choosing one person. And since it is ruled by consent, the people have the power. They gave it to the members of the House of Assembly. So the members of Assembly should be without fetters in choosing their principal officers.
Gentlemen, I just hope the needful is actually done, because I think there is work to be done, quite a whole lot of work to be done. And instead of this man should be here, this woman should be there, I think the issue by now, 99 to 2023, at least we are not there yet. Just like you both have said, we're not there yet, but we should see signs of what we will probably leave behind for the younger generation today. Because immediately yesterday evening, while I saw that the list and the members who were actually appointed, and waking up, no, I think it was about 11 p.m. I was trying to listening to news on one of the stations there. I'm like, oh, here we go again. There's going to be another thug of war between National Assembly and their parties. But we'll keep our fingers crossed, because if you remember, I think it was a Monday that even the PDP were looking at who should be the minority leader. They had issues with it.
And Mr. Tunde, if I may just interject, I don't even think the party has the power to do anything. Let's just look at it. It's just to be frank and sincere.
No, but every one of them,
they will have to wait for 4 years. They will have to wait for 4 years.
Sorry,
they will have to wait for 4 years to do anything in terms of power to do anything about it. The House decides. They don't have the power to do anything about it. Yes, they will have to wait for 4 years to not sponsor that candidate again.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you want to say something?
Now you have come back to that point again. You know, like I said, it's a delicate balance.
It is a delicate balance.
It's a delicate balance. If you want to go to have a clean cut, we are more likely going to have this situation of back and forth. And you see, there is no administration in Nigeria. No administration in Nigeria has the luxury of time. There's so much to be done in the country. And we cannot continue to have this. Of course, sometimes the drama might sometimes be good for Nigerians just to alleviate their pain, you know, because sometimes I think that we are too theatrical as a people, and sometimes that drama might be needed. But the truth of the matter is, and I love the way you said it. I want to agree with him by disagreeing with him a bit. And when you made that statement, I just chuckled within me. Agreement by disagreement. And that, for me, also highlights the realities of human, existence. When you look at the socialization process, when you look at the way we relate as Africans, you just want us to go Western overnight, and it's not likely going to work easily. And I need us to manage all of these challenges. And that's what I'm practically saying. And I wish that at some point that you and I will find ourselves at the helms of affair, and we would also
see what it looks like.
I would also be able to guide the process, because I know one day Nigeria will get it right. One day.
Gentlemen, let's move on quickly, because I know our time is fast spent here. In the course of the week, it came over the weekend.
Yeah.
It was over the weekend, and as of Monday morning, we got a reply from the presidency concerning the report the European Union came up with. And I know in the course of this program, in the course of from Monday till this very dear moment, I have been discussing with great analysts such as you guys to help us out. But looking at it properly, holistically, the 2023 election has come, but it has gone. But there are certain things that still reverberate, and it's not just fizzling out at this moment in time. One of such was what the European Union dug out, coming out from their the leader of the mission to Nigeria. Gentlemen, you've heard the news, you've read the stories. What do you make of the report by the European Union? Dr. Marindos, let me start with you.
To me, I just think the report by the European Union is an attempt at neo-colonialism, quite frankly. It is like a rose that grew in Flushing Meadows trying to tell the rose that grew on the concrete how its petals is supposed to look. You cannot conduct a process in an environment and remove that process from the realities of that environment. So it's like an European mom coming to berate a Nigerian mom for allowing her child to have malaria. We have malaria in this environment, they don't. So why are you trying to look down on us and say, because when you look at the reports, essentially everything they were mentioning were just problems that arose from our own nature, the nature of our environment, talking about the cash transfer, the fuel scarcity, the fact that things did not get to things on time, the technical problems that we still have. We are growing. Why do you have to, you can make a notification of whatever you want to observe, but the manner and the tone and the grandstanding, to me, it just reeks of neocolonialism, and is really annoying, actually, to see a white master trying to come and tell his black colonists what to do or how to conduct a process. They had just 40 observers in about 360. What is that? What is the conflict? What ratio is that? What ratio is that?
That's almost like one per state.
That's almost one per state, and we have 176,000 polling units.
Yeah.
And then you have 40 people, and then you think you have the universe of what occurred during the election. This is the first election where you are going to have 7 governors who attempted to cross over to the Senate. They could not. Quite for crying out loud. The current president won with just 36% of the votes. The remaining 62 was won by the opposition. And you still try to discredit this type of election? Like, what else do you want? You expect the ruling party to get 10%? We have an election where the president did not even get he didn't get 5% in some eastern states, and they had senators from that state in his own party. So what other, if you are looking at the facts empirically, this is the most credible election in the history of Nigeria's election. There was even cash confiscation. Yeah. So how did they buy the vote effectively?
Okay, let me hold you at that, so that just where the boy will continue from there. What do you make of the European Union, Mr. Mudashiru, sir?
Well, I took some time so that it's not hearsay or emotional or sentimental, conclusion.
Yes.
Or opinion. Facts are sacrosanct.
Yes, please.
Opinions are free. It can shift on the basis of prevailing circumstances. But facts are things that it takes time for us to, it takes deliberate consciousness to change them. Truth be told, like we've said while discussing other matters, that we are in the process of developing, developing our democracy, developing our economy, developing so many things. And when you have, the European Union is a credible institution.
Absolutely.
It's an institution that has transcended time and epoch. When it suits us as a people, we head to the European Union for certain credibility and legitimacy. But when it doesn't suit us, we fight them, for doing what naturally, if I were an organization like the European Union, instead of doing such things for countries like this for free, I would charge them for competencies that I'm going to put on the table. And throwing emotions and sentiments out of the window and looking objectively at that report. I wish that I'm not addressed with affiliation to any political party or political ideology. I wish I'm just addressed as a Nigerian who is so much interested in seeing a developed client. And I would say kudos to the European Union for doing for us what we as a people should have commissioned an independent institution within our own society to do for us. We should have an independent institution, devoid, not minding whatever anybody would say, that can give us a critical and objective review of such an important event in our lives, like our election. And I think, for me, the European Union done a brilliant work. I looked at it, I looked at the 6 immediate recommendations and then the other recommendations. Mind you, the European Union is not there to enforce the implementation of the recommendation. It's a recommendation. You can either take it or leave it. Yes, people are shouting, oh, the EU is trying to delegitimize the administration. And for me, I'm not seeing it from that angle. I'm seeing it more from the angle of how does this help us as a people? How does it help us to get things done better? How do we avoid coming back to this corner, coming back to this junction, having this as a recurring decimal in our process? A part of the electioneering processes have also been funded by the magnanimity of this same organization.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? The democracy we are talking about did not even originate from here. We have picked practice from the EU. We picked some from the US, and these guys are saying, come. Yes, we are not saying don't come up or don't, have your own type of democracy. But if truly you are talking about democracy, and if it is part of what we have also used as a people for this length of years, then you might want to consider a couple of this and this and that, which we observed during the election. They raised issues, particularly this morning I want to raise, with media and journalists. And you can bear me witness as a member of that call, where the things the EU stated about the media, the journalists, and the press with respect to the election process were a percentage of it correct. So when we pick these issues and we look at it, see, the void, I'm not interested in being, I'm not interested. My interest is far beyond primordial connections. My interest is far beyond political party affiliation. My interest, the sole interest that I have, is how to turn this great potential into a great nation. And if that is it, I don't believe that we should look at that European Union Observer Mission report as something that is just a delegitimizing, file for this administration. The truth of the matter is the administration is on. Look at what is happening even at our National Assembly at the moment. So if the European Union looked at it and say, okay, based on what we can see, they write a report. Is it their fault that we are doing that drama? And we are doing that drama to the world. I mean, that is what it is. So let us try and move a bit further away from this primordial sentiment. I mean, talk about the credibility of the election. That can be subjective. And of course, in most cases, depending on which side of the divide you belong. Depending on which side of the divide.
I'm actually going to still stay with you before I come back to Dr. Marindoti. Nigeria is such a very large country. And looking at the number of polling units at that moment in time, 176,000. Wow. I stated this, I think yesterday, there was a year I toured Nigeria for 1 year while I was on the road. And I was able to move to about 28 states in 1 year. And I look at the expanse of land, the Koro, I'm like, so this is here, this is here. And fortunately for us, we probably will have all the polling units at one center around those places. Well, looking at what the number of people the European Union came with, 40 observers, mission observers, and 36 states with the Federal Capital Territory. Let's just look at it. That's just going to be about one per state. And we're looking at 176,000 polling units. Do you think the numbers that they came with was enough? And do you think this report could have probably been from the likes of what is the social media saying about this election? Pick up one or two things from the social media. Or we look at, Mr. OLUDARE, what did happen there? Hearsay, or probably just rumors?
Well, whichever way you want to look at it, don't forget the peculiarity of our election period. Honestly speaking, I want to give kudos to the European Union for even being able to station 40 of their 40 of their citizens. European Union citizens, for me, I mean, you have from Switzerland, Swiss citizens are not mere citizens.
Yeah.
I remember working for an international organization for a length of years, and I asked myself why, citizens from other countries cannot rise to certain rank. And they made us realize that because this one is from Switzerland, it must be handled with care.
Yeah.
And you see, the peculiarity of our election period with different challenges, security challenges, you and I know. I happen to have been a stakeholder during that process. And even as a Nigerian, you've traveled, I give kudos to you I've also been on the road in this country, and I'm sure very few states in the country that I haven't been.
Wow.
As a Nigerian, I know how challenging that is.
Absolutely.
I haven't been, made for this climb. Now, for us to have people from that part of the world coming to do that work at that time, you needed to have seen how some of these observers were faring during that process. In fact, I felt for some of them, even in OSUN here. But you must also agree with me that we are talking about an organization or an institution that has standard.
Yeah.
They have standard.
No doubt.
They have code of ethics that guides what they do. They have various methods of gathering data and information. They have different ways of processing this information. And the European Union, what do they stand to gain by delegitimizing the Nigerian election or delegitimizing an administration? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves as a people, so that we can throw out these primordial sentiments. They don't need to have 100,000 observers. As we speak today, you as a media person can speak about what has happened in Kano. How did you get that information? How did you get to trust that information? How come you are still speaking to that information? Despite the fact that those informations didn't come from organizations as credible as the European Union. We are not talking about a country here. We are talking about the union. And the mission, the mission lead, the head of that team is a member of the European Parliament. A member of the European Parliament. So when you look at the process that has brought those people to that point of being able to do that work, if you have an appreciation for that process, then you would also understand that, yes, I'm not saying we can agree with everything, but a greater percentage of that report speaks to the reality on ground as far as the elections were concerned. I was on ground, boot on the ground person with respect to the election, and I can tell you that a couple of the things that we have in those reports are just the simple truth. So it's not, for me, I don't want us to try to spend too much time watering down that report or trying to delegitimize the report. I'm of the opinion that we should take that report and see how we can use the report. I'm of the opinion that we should take that report and ask ourselves, can this report take us further into that space that we are looking at for development? Can this report point us in the direction of being able to consolidate our democracy? These are the things that we should be looking at. Because even in this administration, at different points in the administration, the administration would need organizations like that to give certain credibilities along different lines, line economy and the likes. So the world is, we are an interdependent, we have interdependent relationship in the world today. And so let's find a way as a people to continue to foster this interdependence. If we could do it by ourselves as a nation, we wouldn't have requested. Nigeria made a request to the European Union for that process.
Thank you. Exactly.
We made a request. And if we knew that, oh, requesting and having these people is a form of neocolonialism, is an extension of colonization, why did we go that route?
All right.
So since we went that route by ourselves, then the report coming from that decision that we made, let us see how we can, as a people, use that result to foster our development.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mudashi. Doctor, before I actually, you want to react to certain things?
Almost everything.
Oh my goodness.
If I can remember, I want to vehemently disagree with you on almost everything that you said about this thing. You know, so I don't even know where to start. So should I start with the fact that you said the Swiss nationals are not ordinary citizens? How is the Swiss national better than me? I'm a Nigerian citizen. You know, you're talking about someone from the members of the European Parliament. What is so important about being a member of the European Parliament? They are complaining about how we transmit our results. What do they know about our history? Do they know about Operation Wet here in 1963? Do they know about the violence that occurred in 1983, even in Ondo State when Omoboriwu and Ajashin had a clash that they burnt my parents' house, that they had to escape with my sister and my oldest brother were the only ones that were born then. Do they know anything about the elections in 1993 and how it was annulled? Do they have how much?
You are asking about the European Union, knowing all that, right?
Mr. Mudashi,
sorry to interject. I just want to be clear. You are asking those questions along the line of the European Union knowing all that. I want to be
if they know all that. All right.
Yes or no?
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Mudashi.
Okay, now hold on.
Exactly.
All right.
So do they know all of that? So why are they criticizing the way we evolved and we are doing our things? Why are they criticizing it? This, what's it called, is a step that we have to take ourselves. You know, you cannot come from Europe and try to tell us what to do. You spoke about them giving us some money for this process. How much money did they steal from us during the slavery and the colonial era? We were essentially a pipeline for the wealth in their countries right now. Now they give us loans and put a lien on us and indebt us for life. It seems like you don't understand these people. That's why they come with
I'm going to have to interject.
I did not interject you.
You don't have to. Just listen.
Not for argument's sake. It's just for the purpose of clarity.
We will.
You remember I challenged you.
Hold on.
I challenged you during the election.
Hold on.
You should come back from the United States and let us have a live
Mr. Mudashi. All right, listen to me here.
And I'm glad you actually took the challenge and you're here.
Hold on.
I need to interject you along those lines. You left this country as a trained medical doctor, right? You went to the United States. And now you are back here telling me that, do they know? Are they know? Are they part? Why didn't you stay here and not go there? How come, we accept a part when it favors us? But when it doesn't favor us, we want to throw everything away. Even today as we speak, part of Nigeria's history that has been facilitated by the process by which those people have even archived our own information for us. Please, for God's sake, I told you, I'm not here talking party politics. I'm not here talking partisan issues. I'm here talking along the line of what we should be doing as a people. The education that we have today, such that has made you a medical doctor, did it originate from here? The Hippocratic oath that you took to become a medical doctor was conceptualized by your grandfather, because your grandfather happened to have been hypocrite or who. So see, when we are dealing with issues here, let's throw sentiment out. I'm not here talking sentiment. How the European Union, how did they come to that point of becoming such a credible organization in the world? These are the issues that we should look at. And so when you want to, hold on, I'll give you the floor. But you see, when you raise issues, there are certain issues that I told you, let's throw sentiment out. If we keep going this route, as a people, we will continue to stifle our own development.
Now, Mr. Mudashiru, Doctor, hold on one second. We remember what happened in 1914, the amalgamation, and looking at getting independence in 1960. Nigerians, sometimes we look back and say, this set of people have come in to always want to determine what I eat, what I drink, what I wear, but still, most of us will prefer to wear their kind of clothes and do these things. But have we not grown to the level at which we can determine certain things on our own rather than still saying, hey, come around?
That's a question for me, and I'm going to answer it in a very simple way.
Dr. Marindoti, please hold on. Please hold on.
This morning, I'm going to answer it, and I'll leave the audience to make that judgment. The only person even arguing, possibly maybe even in favor of the European Union this morning, is myself, right? But as we speak right here in this studio,
yes,
you are wearing a suit.
Yes.
With a tie.
Made in Nigeria.
And shirt. And my doctor, my very, very lovely friend and brother, because we bear the same name, I want to tell you, when you write my name again, don't write Dario. It's OLUDARE, the same way you write is. It's the same way you should write mine.
All right.
But I'm putting on my, my buba and chokoto, or maybe a trouser and a shirt that is more, You see, what I'm saying in a sense is this. You cannot accept a part of a thing and throw away a part of that thing. As a people, if we say that we don't need them, let us leave it out. We cannot say we need them with one mouth and say we don't need them with another mouth. Are we ready as a people to govern ourselves? Are we ready as a people to set standard by ourselves, for ourselves, and police the implementation of that standard? In fact, one of the things they are challenging us on is the fact that we as a people made the Electoral Act, which by implication means that that law is Nigeria's law. Nigeria made that law. So because you made that law, obey the law that you made by yourself. For a start, if you made a law, obey that law. We didn't make that law for you. But we are just here to look at your process against the backdrop of the law that you made by yourself. And here is our report to say that your action contravenes the law that you have set for yourself. Though we have supported you in the process of making that law, and we have also supported you in the process of carrying out the action. And both your action and your law are not in tandem. And that's what they've given to us. So if we are speaking to that, let's not, you talk about your father, I can talk about my father, I can talk about my grandfather, I can talk about what I have experienced even by myself. I wouldn't jettison history, but you also cannot decimate my own experience as well. And if I put that together, I can say for a fact that the fact that you say they were not here does not mean that they haven't been a part of it. Don't forget that all of those processes that you even talked about, a couple of those incidences that happened then were not incidences without their own influence as well. You go ask the British people or the British Parliament, they have an archive of the things that has happened here. And yes, like I said, I pray and I wish, I desire that we grow out of all of these elements and, that looks like shackles of colonialism, neo-colonialism, and any name that you want to call it.
Dr. Marindoti, let me come back to you. You were laying something so that I don't interrupt you. Okay, please.
I was laying out a few facts before Mr. MUDASHIRU actually interjected me. And you spoke, you ended your conversation with us not, getting past neo-colonialism. But it seems like that's what you are alluding to. It seems like you are enthralled by the God's complex that these people are coming to show to us. They are telling us about, and I'll try not to make it personal about me going to the United States or whatever, but they are telling us about, women integration in our own politics, but they also have less than 25% of women in the European Parliament. They are talking about freedom of press and press brutality or whatever. But what about what Viktor Orban is doing in Hungary, or what Tayyip Erdogan is doing in Turkey? So, what have they told to those people? So why is it that it is us that they feel they have to tell things to? You talk about them having our archives. Yeah, if you look at history very well, majority of the texts in the Bible were actually kept and transcribed by Muslims, by the Ottoman during the Ottoman invasion and all that. So does that mean they own the Christian religion just because they kept our history for us? What about what's it called? Arts and artifacts that they kept for their own profit making. The point right here is that these people do not understand our realities. They do not understand our history. It is easy for you to put a stop sign at an intersection in the European Union and everybody will stop there. But we don't have, and if you break it, maybe they have the gadgets or the resources to go after you. We don't have that. On my way to this place today, I put Western television on my Google map. It took me like 7 minutes away in the opposite direction of the road. So those are our own realities, and we are growing by ourselves. We are learning to walk by ourselves. You cannot conduct a process in an environment and remove that process from the realities of that environment. So why should we then why should they now come and look down on us and try to tell us you should do this, you should do that? They came in as with a mission to observe. They observed the few. We
invited them.
INEC invited them.
Yes.
They observed the few that they can, but the tone of their was condescending. What they were talking about, I think they're talking about giving access to marginalized people, like people. Is it because we don't have the walkway for people who cannot move or something? These are infrastructural problems that we have naturally. So why are they trying to use that as to discredit the election? They're talking about the IRF portal. Do they have a form of IRF portal? They have a different system that they use. Trust me, you guys are members of the Fourth Estate. You have a duty also to be at each of the polling units and report. The results are announced at the end of the day at every polling unit. There's nothing stopping the pressmen from being there. But does your station have the resources to employ 176,000 people to put in all polling units? No, these are things that we have to grow and check. But the European Union trying to come and discredit our election is repugnant. It is annoying.
I don't want to agree that they want to. But what they came here after they offered about 23 recommendations for consideration. For consideration. Probably elections 2020. I said it here in the course of, I think, on Monday that 2027 is around the corner.
Tunde, we don't need their recommendation. We need their money. We know what is going on.
Yes.
We know the problems we have. Yes. You want to conduct an election in Sambisa Forest or in Borno or parts of Yobe where Boko Haram is. We don't have security there. We have to conduct it however we can conduct it. We don't have the resources maybe to go to all the IDPs. We know we need to grow there.
Probably with these recommendations that they have made now, we can get it much more better.
We don't need
in future
them
elections.
To school us. We are smart enough. We have Nigerians. You cannot go and bring an American neurosurgeon to come and treat complicated malaria, to even come and take basic malaria. So that is what they are trying to do. We know the realities on ground. We are the experts. We are the ones that know how to do our thing. We call them in to come and observe. What they observed, they did. They could not even. They went on observer mission. They do observer mission everywhere, even in the United States, everywhere, all across Europe. They don't give this kind of condescending history, calling a press conference, grandstanding, like here the senior prefect has taken the names of vernacular speakers, and this is the punishment you are going to get, or this is what you should do.
But, all right.
That posture itself is wrong.
You don't want the aspect where we are schooled.
Yes.
But basically, you and I know that the system isn't 100%. And they're making recommendations towards the fact that we can be probably 80%, 90%. Shouldn't we allow them?
The difference, the things that they are talking about are things that are long-standing. They talk about women integration. There is a problem in this country with women education in general. Case in point, and I'm not trying to talk about, I'm just trying to share my own experience.
Please.
My grandmother was the smartest in her class, but she could not go to university because she was a woman. We have marginalized women from education for a very long time. So that will mean that there will be a delay in the emergence and emancipation of women and in their emergence in our public life. So should you come and look at us and, like I said in the beginning, accuse our rose that is growing on concrete for having damaged petals? That is just our reality.
I think I can have the floor now.
Okay, now you...
And I'm going to try to tell Dr. OLUDARE to study a bit of history. And probably, maybe you would also need to study a bit of European history. You see, one thing that I've learned as a Yoruba man is that it is better to learn from other people's failure than to allow yourself fail before you start learning. A smart person, truly, is someone who is able to make the most of other people's experience than to wait for him to have a similar experience before he learns. The history of Europe and European development is rife with all sorts of war. When Europeans are telling you that do something about women, they know why they are telling you. In classical history, you go back to the Athenian period. You go back to the days of, Greek and Greek, social development. Even in theater, drama, dance, and acting, women were not allowed to even come on stage to act. When plays are written that have women character in them, men were the people that would even act as women and use feminine looking mask to depict. They wrote plays around marriage, women problems, all sorts, and men were the one acting it, even in classical Europe. And they kept on moving, and they kept on moving, and they kept on moving to where they are today. And we as a people, it just beats my imagination. It beats my imagination. If we have said, oh, the way we want to be governed in Nigeria is our traditional system of government, what we have known as a people, democracy is not primordial to Africans. Africans are not democratic. My great-grandfather did not live in a democracy. Democracy is originally alien to us. So you want to talk about them not coming to teach us, then you probably will be talking about them not coming to teach us how to do our traditional governance using our KBSO method. But whatever could have made us to adopt their own method. And you must understand, when you speak about certain issues, especially when you speak about democracy, you go back to where it started. And so, as we speak today, we are still speaking to democracy. Why was it that when it was exported to us in Africa, we didn't stand against it? You see, that's why I said, for people like me, don't paint it. If you want us to take it, we take it. Left to me as a person, I don't believe in democracy as an African.
You see, we feel we're not practicing it.
We cannot practice democracy. What do you mean? Government of the... You need to understand the trajectory. You need to understand the developmental trajectory of democracy. And so when European Union comes here to tell us that, come, if you people are speaking about democracy and you're trying to practice democracy, then I said it, listen, today, we made the law. The down to us by the European Union. The Electoral Act was not passed down to us by the government of the United States. We passed the Electoral Act here as an act of the parliament. How come as a people, if truly we were smart, like he said, if truly we happen to be, we don't need to be schooled. If we really do not need to be schooled, how come that a law that we made and passed by ourselves with their assistance?
All right.
And even, you talk of IREP, you talk about, please, when you look at these issues, let us look at it. And I said it to you earlier. Today, see, when you are talking partisan, don't call me. We are talking real issues and we are looking at our developmental trajectories, and you want us to look at the real issues. Let us trash it. As a people, I'm not sure that we are even ready for democracy. I was going to take my friend on when he said, oh, yes, as a Yoruba man, why should I vote for a Yoruba man and not an Hausa man who can help me make 500 billion? How come? I remember very well. It was said in this same studio when you said, no, it's an Emilokon thing, and it must be an Emilokon person. Now, you are now back in this same studio to tell me, oh, if an Hausa man can give me 500 million, why should I vote for a Yoruba man? So why did you vote a Yoruba man? So these are the issues. And so when I said, as a people, we are not ready for democracy, then you understand why I'm saying, because we are quick to picking on things that suit us and throwing away the things that we think.
Now let me hold, because we got to go, but I will have to allow Dr. Marindoti on the parting shot this morning, gentlemen, because of time. The European Union have made 23 recommendations in one statement, in one sentence. Gentlemen, do you think we should take out of it or drop everything? Dr. Marindoti, what is your take concerning the recommendations by the European Union?
We don't need the European Union to recommend anything to us. We started democracy in 1999. The democracy was fraught with a lot of election fraud. And then in 2007, we decided to have an electoral act, which we have amended ever since along the line. We are doing the needful. When we see a problem, we fix it, we react to it.
For me, the European Union have made recommendations about a product that we went to go and buy from them. And they say, you have bought this product. The instruction for using the product, the manual, this is what the manual says. So you want this product to work for you? Don't turn the lens upside down, inward out, to get a proper image. Use the manual to get the best result. So for me, European Union, thank you for doing what you have done. Democracy for me is another issue, another discussion for another day. Thank you very much.
Just like Mr. Mudashiru is thanking the European Union, I want to thank you both, gentlemen, for taking time out to be with me on the show this morning. Thank you most sincerely. I really, really appreciate it. And the recommendations that journalists we have to take up, I think we'll take it up from here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll be back again on another edition of the program tomorrow morning, God willing. Morning Spring live from Western Spring Television. You can definitely watch us live on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Tunde IDOWU is my name. Good morning.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was